Pillow.
Give me a second. I gotta tag these groups. We can go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another outstanding broadcast we're gonna have here on tonight. Marriage is not for everyone. If it's your first time joining us, press that like, press that share button. And if this not your first time joining us, do what you need to do. We're glad to have you on tonight. And as you come into the building, please identify yourselves. After you press that like, press that share button, let everyone know that we're on tonight and that we're going to have another great time. Tag someone tonight. Let us know that we're doing what we need to do. We're so thankful for you to have many people that join us. I pray that you have a great week. We have our special guest returning again. We're going to get to her in a second, but I'm asking for everyone that's jumping on right now, press that like, press that share button. Let people know that we're on. Let them know that we are in the building. First and foremost, before we go further, I have to welcome back our special guest once again, Miss Queen G, who did an outstanding job, and I thought it was fitting that we would do a part two on tonight. And we want to pray that this part two will bless your socks off. Miss Queen G, thank you for coming. I'm glad to have you on tonight.
Thank
How are you
you.
doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, I'm glad. I know it was a last minute ordeal, but I'm glad that you came through
Oh yeah. Anytime. Anytime.
alive and in color. For those that's coming in on tonight, identify yourselves. Let us know that you're on. Also, press that like, press that share button. Let someone know that we're on right now. We want to make sure that this broadcast go forth like it should. Want to make sure that people are blessed by this broadcast. As you come into the building, please identify yourself. Tag someone, share someone. We have a special presentation on here tonight. Marriage is not for everyone. If you're single, married, divorced, seeking marriage, whatever your relationship status is, we ask on tonight that you tag someone, put someone's name in the comments, and let them know. This is a book I written last year and it's gone across the states and back. Preferably, it'll go across the world. And I pray that it will bless the socks of those who are joining on. We thank you so much. So tag someone right now. Before we get into the meat and the crux of all of this, I want you to watch the commercial of Marriage is Not for Everyone. If you have not grabbed the book, you can go to my website, www.kkhbooks.com. Let's go to that commercial, then we're going to come back on. Did you know that over 50% of marriages start at the altar but end up in the courtroom? Hi, my name is Kasin Hamilton, the author of Marriage is Not for Everyone. In this book, I detail that some people should stay single, others should get married, and some people should never get married again. Please grab a copy of this book. I would rather for you to spend $10 on this book than spend $10,000 on alimony. Marriage is not for everyone. Let's get it on and popping. Thank you for those that jumped on tonight. And we pray that you will like, share, and tag somebody on tonight as we do what we always do. For many of you who have not read the book, the basic premise of the book is that marriage is not for everyone. Some people should stay single, some people should get married, some people should get divorced, some people should never get married again. This is a very transparent book. This is a very thoughtful book. This is a very therapeutic book, and we want to make sure that you get a copy of that if you have not get a copy on tonight. Before we go into our topic, Miss Queen G, because you actually read the book and
Yeah.
your platform was the first podcast that I was on, can you just give a brief synopsis, a couple of words, anything in your mind that would explain what this book does for individual, even a corporate setting?
Oh man. It like you said, it's not for everyone, but it is for everyone. And that's the oxymoron. It's literally um I found something in it as a married woman. I know Corey and I was reading and we were just kind of blown away. There's a lot of transparency in it. a lot of things that we don't ask ourselves, even a lot of things that we don't really delve into, even being in a marriage, things that we don't ask ourselves before we get married, things that we don't ask ourselves in regards to we are. Um, if marriage is for us. So the
Correct.
book covers everything. And I just had it the other day and I'm still blown away. Like
Are
it
you
just
still
covers
reading?
everything. Because it's sometimes you need to go back and it's a self check sometimes. Don't
Okay.
judge me.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad you're still reading after all this time.
Yeah, yeah. Every now and then, and now it's become kind of like like a daily, reminder, just things that you need to brush up on. So, yeah, it's a forever book.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much for that. For those just jumping on right now, press that like, press that share button. Let some people know that we're on tonight and we're about to get this party on the road. It's
Hey,
about to be on and
ladies.
popping. Tag your boyfriend, tag your girlfriend, tag your husband, tag your wife, tag your
Can
friends.
somebody tag my husband?
Yeah, tag him. Tell him I said what's up
He
too.
off
Tag him
today.
too.
Tag him.
Tag them too. Okay, bet. Let them know we on here on and popping. All right. So listen, we're gonna start here tonight. Good evening, brother Ross. We're gonna start here tonight. We're gonna start with chapter number 1 of the book, and it's called. Matter of fact, I don't want to jump there first. Let's go to the relationship book. All right. So, relationship dictionary is a part of the book where I write that every relationship is not based upon actual love and commitment. Therefore, I give different phrases figuratively to describe certain relationships. So Queen G, on tonight, one of the first things I put in the book is that some people will get married because of religionship. This relationship is based upon a particular faith system or worship that endorses the institution of marriage. Some people may marry according to their religious convictions and not love. The first word on tonight is religionship. For those who are taking notes on tonight, it is religionship. Miss Queen G, tell me the dangerous situation you could put yourself in if you marry someone based upon religion.
Um, it is my opinion that if you do that based on religion and you're not disciplined in your religion, number
Mm,
one,
mm,
epic fail. And a lot of people, I believe, do that, and they're not disciplined in the basic maintenance of their religion, let alone adding in an entire different a lifestyle. And I think
correct.
people have to understand marriage is a lifestyle.
Wow.
It's in a lane all by itself. So you're taking on an additional lifestyle when you don't even have one mastered in the name of religion.
I like I like I like what you said. Marriage is a lifestyle. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip your wording. Marriage is a lifestyle, not a style of life. All
Yes.
right. Some people use
Yes.
marriage as a style or a trinket of life, but it's a lifestyle. Let's go here. Even for those, there may be other people that read the book that's outside of our faith. You may be Buddhist, Hindu, whatever religion you are, even Christians, and we're gonna start with Christians or the belief of Christ that many people are. I want to start here. One of the most dangerous things I've seen in the church setting is that many people were married based upon religion, and they will use God as an scapegoat to do what they want to do when God is not even in it. Right? I
Yes.
want to
Yes.
go here. Many people will say, God told me to marry this person. One dude challenged me one time. He said, why are so many Christians getting a divorce? He said, I don't understand. You believe in God, believe in the Bible. Why are you getting a divorce? And I took him to the scripture where Jesus said it this way. He says, watch this. He says, what God has put together,
Hmm.
let no man separate. And it's the premise
Hmm.
I want you to jump on. So I told him my premise was the reason that many marriages are not working is that God did not put them together. We
Hmm.
put ourselves in them.
Hmm.
We use
Hmm.
our religion as an excuse to do something, but God was not in the covenant. Let's talk about the starting point of your relationship. All right.
Hmm.
I want you to deal with this idea from a female perspective. Then I'm gonna hit the male.
Okay.
This is my contention. I want to hear what you got to say. I think some men use religion as a manipulative tool to manipulate a woman because he doesn't really believe, but he wants her to believe because he has motives. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's talk about it. Religion,
Oh Lord, Lady Hamilton, he do it to me every time.
You came on tonight. I listen. We talking religion ship.
Absolutely. I am going to say absolutely. It's game, and people just have to be real about their real. Using religion is another form of game. It's another form of if manipulation, y'all gonna get me for this, but hey, I feel like I can do this because it's Pastor Hamilton. Manipulation is taking place in the church without marriage, then why wouldn't manipulation take place for you to get married?
I
It it
love it.
it, it to me is just manipulation. It's game. And hey, you can't what they say, don't hate the player. You just gotta really read this book so you can get caught up on game. And I'm not gassing it. I'm telling you the honest to God truth. When wisdom speaks, we have to learn to listen. And so I
Mm,
think a lot of it is absolutely. I know for me, and I like to use myself as an example, and being very transparent because I'm an open book. So honestly, I dated a lot of dope dealers when I was younger. They were drug or wannabe, something like that's what they wanted to be. That was what I
you
gravitated
dated
to.
dope dealers?
I did. Yes. Honey, I was popping. Listen, no, but I did. And I mean, I'm
I feel
talking
you.
about in my teenage years.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was the thing for me, the cars, the flashiness, and all of that. As I grew older, I realized there was no substance there. And then after having my children, I realized none of the men I dated had a heart for God.
Correct.
So ladies, follow me with this. Now, my desire is to meet a man or be found, let me say that, by someone that had a heart for God because I was raised in the church, ministers all through my family, and I wanted that. So I met my husband, and the first thing that he had been flirting with me, but I knew what I wanted, right? I knew what I wanted. So I didn't
Yeah,
see him
yeah.
until the unfortunate passing of his mother. And
Wow.
then I saw him continue to come to work. But the one thing that drew me to him is what I desired. And I need y'all to stay with me on this. I seen this man come to work every day with his Bible open. So he
Mm,
was drawing strength. Now, his mother just passed. He had every right not to be there, but he came to work every day and he was drawing strength from the Bible. So, guess what? Ding, ding, ding. He caught my eye. I wanted a man that had a heart for God.
I love
So,
it.
when he shot his shot, it was really easy for me. I played the role, but honestly, he fit what I wanted. And I'm saying that to say, by the grace of God, we are 6 years down, 7 years altogether.
Wonderful.
And but those are the things how quick the enemy could usually take the desires of your heart and present it on a silver platter, and you instantly think that it's God. It didn't work out that way for me, and again, by the grace of God, he turned out to be an amazing man with a heart for God. But again, it's so simple to fall into the trap because we often compare what we had to what we want, and we disregard everything else around it. If he doesn't have what the last one had, he's good. So we want to take our time and just make sure that we can hear the spirit of manipulation and make sure that we understand that it is God and it's not just us wanting what we want. Because that could have been a doozy for me. Did I do
Hold on,
good with
hold on,
that
hold
one?
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Listen, for those that jump on, press that like, press that share button. We're dealing with relationship. I'm putting on the screen. I'm putting on the screen. We're dealing with relationship. You should not marry anyone based up. I know some of y'all don't want to hear this. I'm gonna get in trouble. You should not marry anyone based upon religion. Religion can be used as a manipulative tool to get you to walk down the altar, and God is nowhere in it. Now, you said a key point, and I'm going to jump on it and go back to what we were going to do. You said sometimes women can look at what a man has to offer that the other man did not have to offer. Correct. Let's talk about that. Where
Yeah.
does that rabbit hole lead you to?
Destruction. It's because a lot of times we get upset with the man. And it's like, oh, what is the new thing? People wear their masks too long, or it was your representative. And but some of that you have to own yourself because you saw what you wanted to see and you
Mm.
ignored all the other red flags. I wanted to see a man that had a heart for God. I saw that. The good news is that we were both at the age where we were ready to get past the newness. So a little later on in the show, I'll talk about how we talked about some of those. We had some of those hard conversations. So I knew that it wasn't going to be this fairy tale, Captain Save Me, because you
Yeah.
got a heart for God. We are both very transparent people. And so, yeah, but that was one of those things where like I said, it could have been a doozy for me and I would have been blaming the man. Now I'm scorned and now I'm bitter because I honestly made an executive decision to
Yeah.
see what I wanted to see.
Hold on,
So,
let's start right there because
yeah.
let's deal with that. I love when you say that because trauma can make you see what you don't want to see.
Mhm. Mhm.
Trauma changes the very lens in which you picture everything.
Yeah.
So if you've
Yeah.
been even right now, biology speaking, even right now, there's studies that talk about how people DNAs are altered because they're coming through the seeds of trauma.
Mhm.
This is why slavery is such a big deal in African American race because trauma can be genetically disposed from generation to generation, even to the point there's a study out right now that talks about even if a woman is going through a period of PTSD while carrying a child will also feel that trauma even in the womb. So
Mhm.
I want to get this in y'all. I want y'all to catch this tonight. Many of you, while dating, have to be careful about your decision making because
Mhm.
sometimes we can make decisions off of situations of trauma.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
If that
Yep.
makes sense, let us know you make sense. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we speak about trauma bonds all the time.
Trauma bond.
Um,
Correct.
trauma bonds all the time. And so
Correct.
we see a lot of that also in decisions that we make and even in tying that into dating someone based on religion, a lot of times, it's just people wanting relief. In another
Mm,
lesson, I again being transparent, I use myself as an example. Another lesson I honestly had to learn. I came into this especially realizing that my husband was a minister. So I came into this expecting all of my damage and all of my baggage. He was supposed to be able to save me, honestly. And it took me going through counseling and realizing that no, you have your relationship with God, he has his relationship with God, and then you all collectively have one. But
mm-hmm.
he's not your God.
Mm-mm.
I put him on a pedestal
And
and
hold on. And any man that wants you to believe that he is your God is not even in line with God.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And
Okay.
and I put him on a pedestal and had probably for the first year almost of our marriage really unfair expectations that he didn't even know I had.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it was stuff that you speak about in your book and dealing with pre-marriage, dealing with your trauma, sitting with yourself, having these conversations, sort through your mess, just sit with your stuff before you do that. And so I had to learn a year into my marriage that this is not my God. And that even though he is the head, and even though he gets his directives from God, I get my directives from him, I still have my own source to plug in. And so when I realized that, I took some of the weight off of him that I was putting on him that only God could deliver me from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. Before we go further, we're gonna address this one. I love it. We got a deep one. I wasn't going to church and never been to a church. But my ex told me God said I was her husband, and even her son, who was a prophet, said God told him I was going to marry his mother. That did make me lock in, even though we were sleeping together. So I assumed God told me to get them draws. Just playing. Laugh out loud. Okay. but but after I got baptized, I did think I heard God say that was my wife. In the end, she said God told her she never been a good wife. And right after that, she said God told her to leave me. So now, all right. So we got we got several layers of onions going on with this one.
Yeah.
let's let's
Yeah.
let's pull it
Yeah.
apart. Pull it apart
Yeah.
first. Pull it apart first and foremost. This is the first thing I want to say. That I'm gonna get in trouble with many people on here who may be religious. Number one, I don't care what prophet prophesied to you about marriage. What did God tell you? All right.
Period. Period.
Can I get an amen in the comments? I don't care what prophet tells you, whatever. What
Period.
did God tell
Mhm.
you? That's first and
Mhm.
foremost.
Mhm.
All right. Number two, let's deal with this. Queen G. When a
Yeah.
man finds a wife,
Mhm.
he finds a good thing
Mhm.
and he obtains favor from the Lord.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
word find there is a verb, is active, which
Mhm.
means, hear me carefully, I'm gonna get in trouble tonight. Watch this. You decide who you decide who you're gonna call your wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Uh
Now
huh.
here we go. Let's go Bible, then we're gonna go get out of this. Listen, when Adam was called to Eve, the Bible says, Genesis chapter 2 and 3, the Bible says God brought every animal in front of Adam. And he asked Adam, what are you going to call it?
Uh
He
huh.
named all of the atoms, and then at the end, he brought him Eve to see what he would call it. He then said, this now is the bone of my bone, the flesh of my flesh. This is a helpmeet in the
Yeah.
Hebrew,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
aid or an assistant.
Uh huh.
All right. Notice God never told him to marry Eve. There's not one scripture in the Bible that God told him to marry Eve. But based upon his own personal decision making, he
Mhm.
decided what he would call her. Here we go. Now, y'all don't want to hear this. I don't care if a prophet prophesied to you 3,000 times. Marriage, number one, comes from the seat of a man, not a woman.
Mhm.
No woman should be seeking a man for marriage, but the man should be seeking a woman for marriage. So if a woman is seeking a man for marriage, it's already out of order. Put a sign on it. All right. Number two, he has to seek her because she's not readily available. So he
Mhm.
must be on a pursuit. He
Mhm.
decides this. Now, in all of this, here we go again. No prophet is involved in any of this.
Right.
Number three, here we go. Y'all don't want to hear this. And this last one I want to hop on. Just because God told you to get married, it does not mean you have the character to stay married.
Ooh. Well.
And that's why I want you to jump in right here. I want you to jump on this. Just because God told you to get married, it does not mean that you're going to stay married.
Right.
Whoever you are single will be exacerbated when you get married. So if you are a poor manager of money, you're going to manage money poorly. If you are abusive, you're going to be even more abusive. If you're a hoe, you're going to be even bigger of a hoe.
Help him on the day, Jesus.
Now, here we go. Because marriage, watch what it does. Marriage is a band-aid to an infection, but the problem is if you don't properly treat the infection, it will spread. So you putting a ring on an infection, trying to figure out why it's spreading, is because marriage was never created as a band-aid, but marriage was created as a cure to humanity life. I want you to jump in right here, and I want you to talk about it from a female perspective. Talk about what happens when a man pursues you and says, "You are my wife." What should a woman do at that point?
Man, that's what my husband said. No, he literally said, he said, "You gonna marry me." But I again, it depends on the season that you're in,
Okay.
and I hold on, because I gotta jump back. Frank, Frankie.
Get on.
I have one word, and that is accountability.
I love it.
You absolutely have to be accountable for your relationship with God. And what I can say is no matter what I want, the older I get, and this is a daily thing, I'm learning to sit and wait and listen to God speak to me. Because if he'll speak to my husband, he'll speak to me. And especially if he feels like I have no clarity. I will be still until I have clarity. He'll speak to me. So I think that the first thing is you have to be accountable for what you allowed yourself to want to believe, hear, and see.
I love it.
And I think that that also has a lot to do, and I think it's a great starting point with healing when things go wrong. And it's not a bad thing, it's a lesson. But I can honestly say in my marriage, Do you know how many times I've said, God put him in my life. Then I said, no, I put him in my life. Then I said, God put him in my life. We're women. So understanding also the makeup of women. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I think all of us have a little bit of bipolar in us, and it just depends on the day.
I love it.
So, um, yeah, I think a lot of that is just being accountable for what your relationship with God, and that's all I would say to that is just make sure that you and Him from now on, y'all stay connected so you can hear Him speak to you. Prophesied into me on my marriage, I'll pass. I will pass. What was the other question? I'm gonna pass that one up.
All right. We got another good question. What are your thoughts? Well, here we go. What are your thoughts on both parties meeting through a dating site?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. I think that for people that don't have the best cognitive skills and knowing how to intermingle with people, it is a soft introduction into being able to elevate in communication. I think it does allow you an opportunity not to just dive head in, if you so choose to take it that slow. I think that it is allowing you to screen people. Now people get catfished, but
Yeah,
again, I think it allows you to still be able to have that time with God and not rush it when you're actually physically trying to pursue someone. So I'm totally not against it. I have family members that use it, and I'm not against it. You just have to be careful, of course, and use wisdom. But I think that it is another form of dating with a purpose.
I love it. All right. This in my book, I put hashtags. These are one of the hashtag quotes I put in my book. I want y'all to hear this carefully. We're still dealing with wild dating. It doesn't take a man a long time to know if you're the one. It only takes time when you're not the only one. I'm gonna say it again. It
Mhm,
doesn't take long for a man to know that you are the one. It only takes a long time when you're not the only one. Here
mhm,
we go. Now, we got to deal with this psychology. We as men process dating and relationship differently than you as women. We look at it from a total different prism. Now, when a man sees and understands, because we are hunters, when we see a prey in the jungle that we are attracted to, we'll focus on that. Our focus now becomes myopic. That's all we want. We become tunnel vision. It's not
mhm,
of I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to do blah 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 blah. Now here we go. The other problem we got to deal with the time frame of all of this. Now, because there's some people who are, I would like to say, they are permanently dating. What I
mhm.
mean by that is that they're under an illusion of a contract, thinking the ring is coming, but you're only a roommate that offers sex on the side. You're
Mhm,
not getting any
mhm,
benefits. You're not getting any rings. There's nothing happening in that situation. And you naively think to yourself that this year is going to be my year. Now, I want to talk about the management of your time in dating. Because
mhm,
some people, two extremes now, there are some people who date too long that should be married. And then there's some people who date prematurely real quick that gets married real quick. I want to deal
mhm,
with both ends of the spectrum because when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, then he will pursue and go after them. It don't take him 35, 40 years to marry a woman. I want to talk
mhm.
about this. Deal with the women's side. What is a woman's timetable in her head while she's dating a man? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. How do you all calculate this whole concept when a man is dating you?
Um, that is a really great question. We actually was just I just had this conversation on another podcast, the Jihad Live TV, and the thing is that there should not be. And that I think that's one of the things that our community, our culture, we really need to remove these time clocks.
Mm,
Because if you're 55, if you're 25, 35, at this point it's all mindset. Your mindset. That is my favorite word. I'm going to be known for that word because that is just the thing that we have to realize. if you have been able to sit with yourself, if you are connected and you have a relationship with God, if you are transparent with yourself, if you would marry you, then at whatever age you would say I do to you, then that's your time. But just because my homegirl's been married with 3 kids and all of that, if that's not your season,
Yeah,
stay in your lane. We
yeah.
used to have this saying, and we have to get back to it. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, because you don't know what's going on behind their closed doors. You don't know what the Jones had to go through to get there. And so I think the biggest thing we have to do is stop putting a stop clock on us. There is no time clock on when you should have a baby. There's no time clock on when you should get married. And a lot of us
Mm,
do that. We think that, oh, I'm 35. If I don't get married by now, it's not gonna happen. Says who? And
correct.
I did a show on that, literally called "Says Who," just breaking down the stereotypes that we have allowed society to literally embed in us. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to unlearn just to relearn how to customize your life according to what works for you. That's what the book is for. It's
Mm-hmm.
just telling you what works for you, not for the next person. So I think that women do that, and I really wish we would stop. There's no time frame at all. I know when I met my husband, one thing I did know is I knew what I wanted because I knew what I didn't want. So that's something that I
Mm,
was able to take into account. But rushing it was something that was, honestly, we were married a year later, but it was mutual, not for the sake of rushing for a time clock, but because we were both at the stage in our lives where we were trying to get past the newness. Listen, this is my good, my bad, and my ugly. We talked about ugly. We talked about finance. We talked about mental health. We talked about, I mean, dating, our bad habits we had, bad decisions we made, bad attitudes. We just got it all out. And I can remember that conversation to this day. Just like, you know what I wish? I wish we could get past the newness. And he was like, bruh, me too. And so we did that. It's possible, but it had nothing to do with the time clock. It had everything to do with a mutual understanding between both parties that this is what we want. So we knew what we were entering into to a certain extent.
I love it. Listen, for those taking note, thanks for the new people that jumped on. Press that like, press that share button. Glad y'all came on here tonight. Listen, I wanna give some people some homework. I like something you said, a nugget. This is what some people should be doing who are seeking marriage, those who have been
Mhm.
divorced, those who are trying to go to another life. I like what you said. We need to flip the script on this. You should make a list of what you don't want. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Stop making a list of what you want. I want this person to be this size, make this certain amount of money. Your problem is you need to make a list of what you don't want. All right. Because sometimes when time comes into the factor, I love what you said, but I want to take it even deeper. Sometimes when time comes into factor, you're willing to watch this shave down your list to
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
fulfill to have
Yeah.
anybody with you.
That's good.
So
That's
what you
good.
do is now you have 10 things that you say, this is what I need for us to get married.
Mhm.
And once you get 25, 30, 35, you near 40, you're now saying, oh, I'm getting older. So
Mhm.
now you're now compromising your standard just to have
Yep.
someone. And now you're upset with what you have, but what
Mhm.
you have does not even meet your standard.
Yep. Yep.
This is equivalent to
Whew.
you going to go buy a car and you say, I want a Porsche, I want a Benz, I want a BMW. And your problem is you take the first car that the dealer offers you, but you know that's not the car you want. And watch, just like marriage, here comes the problem. Now you have a car note, now you have a contract, now you have an agreement that you're trying to get out of, but you knew from day one, this is
Mhm.
not what I even wanted.
Absolutely.
Some people on here tonight, give it to your friends. You need to make a list of what I don't want.
Give
I
it to your
don't
friend.
want somebody who's broke. I don't want somebody who smokes and drinks. I
Yeah.
don't want anyone that doesn't believe the way I believe. I don't want anyone that's emotionally or physically abusive. Here we
Mhm.
go. Because when you're dealing with trauma, watch what trauma would do. Trauma will make you exchange a truth for a lie.
Mhm.
What does it look like? Here we go, Queen G. This is what it looked like. He beats me. She's
Mhm.
emotionally abusive to me. but
Mhm.
they pay all
Mhm.
the bills.
Mhm. Mhm.
The sex is good.
Ooh, that's good.
They treat my children right. Now your trauma is making you exchange the truth for a lie because you
Mhm.
rather watch this. You rather not be alone than to deal with the mess that you're in. So then you
Mhm.
compromise. All right.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
need to make lists on tonight. If you're taking notes, you need to make lists of what you don't want. So if you're thinking about married again or you're single looking for someone, you need to make a list of what I don't want. And watch this.
Mhm.
And don't feel uncomfortable with the list you make because it's your list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why
Yeah.
is this? Let's talk this, Queen G. Often in counseling, I talk to a lot of women in counseling,
Mhm.
and a woman would tell you she knows what's going on in a relationship,
Mhm.
but she will stay in it
Mhm.
and then want counseling about it. I'm gonna say it again. She knows what she wants. She knows the message she's in, but she will stay in it and not leave it, knowing this is not what she wants.
Mhm.
Can you please explain to the fellas or to myself what is the psychosis behind this? What triggers a woman to know this person is not good for me, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna stick in it and try to convince myself it is good?
For the very two reasons that one you just recently mentioned, and then the very first thing you entered into the show saying, one is religion,
I love it.
and till death do we part. And I signed up for this, so I guess unless until he kills me or I kill him, we're in it. And I think the second reason
I love it.
is because of this time clock. You know, it's
Mm,
like when you get into a certain age, and I'll say 35, 45, 55, and you're like, hey, this is the best I'm going to get. And then a lot of that has to do with insecurities. Sometimes we
mm.
feel like we're not worth more. And so it's like, I may not get any better. The grass may not be greener on the other side. I may as well just stay where I'm at. And I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of times women are just like, or if you're like me, I'm married. So if God forbid I was ever, faced with the D word, and I'm looking at family members that are dating, and it's just like, they're sports fishing. They're tossing men back in the water, or the men is tossing the women back in the water, and they fishing
Wow.
for some more.
Wow.
It's like, that would scare me. So no matter how bad my marriage was or it wasn't for me, I would be like, okay, if everybody is throwing everything back in the water and they just fishing for fun, they're serial daters. That's what my cousin called them, serial daters. I may as well stay put. So again, I think even those that are married, um, sometimes our community get too caught up on you putting people in your business. Shows like this is important because it shines a light on every aspect of marriage. There is good, there is bad, there is ugly, but it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. A beautiful, wonderful, good, bad, ugly thing at the end of the day. And if
Correct.
more people can see that, then it helps to balance out those that are single or needing to make decisions, and they're only seeing it from one point of view. If all I see is people serial dating, you understand, and I need to get out of this relationship, it's going to make me afraid, or it's going to make me say the grass is not greener on the other side, let me stay. So it's internal always. It's a self issue, but I think again, between religion and society, as well as what you see, all of those things play a part in why people just stay put.
Hold on. I got a great comment that I want you to touch on. I love it. I want you to get on this. Sometimes women feel men, they hold on to them so no one else reaps the benefit of what they have invested.
I have heard that growing up so many times, so many times. And it's like, you got this man and he started here, but oh, you added a little pizzazz, a little bedazzle, a little this, a little that. And it's like, no, nobody can have him. I'm holding on to him because I'm not gonna let her reap the benefits. I got him raggedy. So I'm a give him away raggedy. He's not yours. He's God's first, number one. And then again, understanding what your purpose is. Your purpose is absolutely to be his rib. And the man does not know what's inside of him, but you came from inside of him. So if you served your purpose, your God-given assignment, and that's what we have to see it as. It's a God-given assignment. Your purpose is to show this man what's inside of him. So if you pushed him and he became greater than he already was when you met him, you served your God-given assignment. What he does with that, it's the same thing as if you tithe your 10% and the pastor go buy him some gator snake skin belt or shoes. That has nothing to do with you. You
Yeah,
release him, because again, what God has for you is for you. And not only that, something my mama told me, if he is yours, it ain't nothing nobody can do to get him, if he's yours in the first place. So you can look at this spiritually and you can look at it carnally, but either way you do, at the end of the day, you're serving a purpose. So if this man has been elevated to levels that he was not at when you and him got together, you served your purpose. And
I
your reward does not come from him.
I
I'm
love
sorry.
it.
Go
I
ahead.
love it. No, that's good. That's good. Press that like, press that share button for those that jumped on. Marriage is not for everyone's getting hot in here. Frankie Ross, I want you to put more in depth of why you say it's hard to find a wife in this climate. Queen G, I want to tell a story which is going to be a parable tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got in my accident, I stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wasn't working, I found out the hard way that when you don't work at a job, you get partial benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't working. I only got 60% of my pay. I only got 60% of my pay. My health insurance titles changed. Everything changed. Hear me carefully. Watch this. I was on paid leave. I was on paid leave. I was on paid leave. At a certain point, you go from paid leave to now to a sense of absence of leave because of the injury you have accrued. Technically, I'm an employee, but I'm not still getting the same amount of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went past the time frame in which that they wanted me to work in order for me to remain a full-time employee.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, some of the benefits was cut off, some of them became exhaustive, some of them became very high, but technically I was still an employee. Over a certain amount of time, hear me carefully, they sent me an email that said, now we must move you from temporary paid leave or FMLA. Thanks for the terminology. They moved me to something called, you now have Cobra insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I asked the lady, I
Mm-hmm.
said, what is Cobra insurance? She said, this is insurance that you're going to be on temporarily, because if you decide to come back, we're going to put you back in the system. But as of right now, we have you in an in-between spot. So your insurance is going to go from $410 a month between you and your wife to near $900 a month, near $1,600 a month for your family. Hear me carefully. Watch this. I was an employee, but as time went down, my benefits changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the
Mm-hmm.
employer understood this principle that we need to understand in relationships. Why are you giving people full-time benefits when they're not even working the job? Let me say it again. Why are you giving people full-time benefits when they're not even working the job? The
Mm-hmm.
employer said, we're going to observe you through a certain amount of time. And as time goes on, hear me carefully, we're going to take each benefit away from you, understanding you cannot be connected to this company and want the benefits, but you're not showing up for work. The problem we have in many relationships is you're getting people full-time employee benefits, but they're only seasonal workers.
Mm-hmm.
Now you exhaust all of your benefits, and now when a full-time employee shows up, because you have nothing else left to give, here we go. You now go to your trauma bond through your trauma lens, and now you ruin something good because you exhausted all of your benefits to an employee that was only
Mm-hmm.
temporary or seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
People online tonight have to ask yourself, you're getting red flags from people who are temporary employees. Why are you giving full-time benefits to them? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Single marriage. We're going to go ahead and let's go to our next point. It is a balancing act. It is reciprocal. You pour into my cup, I pour into your cup. I give you money, you give me money. I protect you, you protect me. You speak, I speak. If you're in a relationship that is one-sided, you need to reevaluate it, put caution about it, and most importantly, if you're single, hear me carefully. I don't care how you feel about this. I don't care if you've been together 20 years. You need to move on. I put this in the book. I'd rather for you to be single than to be married to a mistake. Because the last thing you want to do is sign a sheet of paper with a nutso, and now you're dealing with the issues going forward.
Yeah, yeah,
Go ahead and jump in, and then we're
yeah.
gonna go to our next point.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that again, like you said, it's dating with a purpose. I mean, date with a purpose. Know what you want, know what you don't want. And again, for women, we know it. I got to put it out there because I know somebody done said it. If you haven't posted it, it's why buy the cow when why buy the cow when the milk's free?
Yeah.
That's how we know it. Ladies, y'all heard that before. That's how we know it. So a lot of times, women are auditioning. And let's be honest, that's what we're doing. We're auditioning for, we're auditioning to be found. Does that make sense? We're
I like that.
auditioning.
I like
And
that word.
so if he knows that if I'm gonna show him I can cook, I'm gonna show him I can clean, I'm gonna keep my face on, I'm gonna be tight, snatched, all of that. We do that to get the man. And we talked about this on the last show. But then again, I'm big on accountability as far as my species. And so a lot of times it is because we fall off. We fall off, we auditioned for the part, we got the part, we didn't keep it up. Number one.
Mm.
And so a lot of times when he stops being the one and you're pouring your energy into them, you got to go back and check yourself. Am I doing everything that I did to get this man? Because
Wow.
sometimes it's not just the man not being good enough for you, but you got to make sure that you do your part. Now you auditioned to be this character. You got to keep the character up now. And that's really hard for women
Woo.
to do. So I'm just being accountable on this side, ladies.
Hold up, because that goes into what Frankie said. Now this is all subjective. Frankie, you gonna get in trouble now. The women on here tonight. Listen, he said. I asked Frankie. I said, "What is your perspective of the dating scene? What's going on out here? How you feel about what you see?" He said, "Most women are trying to be men, and they say they want. I guess they say they want a man, but actually act different from what they describe. It's much more. What's left is only fans type of women." All right. I want to go here. I want to break this down. Let's go further. Frankie, I love your commentary. You're gonna start up a fire tonight that I may not be able to put out, but we're gonna try to get some water and do it. All right. So listen, first and foremost, Queen G, this is not a narrative, but it's a reality. When you talk to many single men are struggling right now of finding. This is not what I think. It's what I know. This is what I hear. They're having problem trying to find a woman to be his helpmeet because most of the women that they run into are trying to be competitive and not ride along with them. So a lot of men that come to me, they say they're meeting beautiful, gorgeous, very great women, but
Mhm,
they think their bag is much bigger than their integrity. So I have
mhm,
a car, I have a house now. Even one young lady, I talked to a gentleman. He was just talking to her about the basic ethics of marriage and life, about
mhm,
cooking and cleaning. And she said, "Who do you think I am? I'm not going to be your slave. I'm
mhm,
not going to be your mother." This
mhm,
is the mentality of some women. Now,
mhm,
because we have an upper echelon of women who's making, even in the black community, most black women make more money than black men. All right.
mhm,
They just call it for what it is. I want to deal with this mentality. What do you say to the men or women, whatever which way you want to go, who are in the society now, where they're actual men who really wants to be a man to a woman, but I cannot be a man to you when you're trying to be a man like me.
okay.
Every man wants to protect. Every man wants to provide. Every man wants to be a priest, a real man. I'm not talking about little boys. All right, little
Yes.
boys they don't provide.
Mhm,
They're not priests. They ain't protectors. Little
mhm,
boys steal. They rob. They beat you. That's what little boys
mhm,
do. We're talking about men. All right. There's some
mhm,
real men out here who want women, but their problem is now we're in competition.
mhm, mhm.
Let's talk about
Absolutely.
what's going on.
Mhm, mhm.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely.
Um,
Okay, I was just ask. Go ahead.
yeah, great question, Frankie. And I actually do want to address both if I can. And I think that we got to be honest, men, a lot of the men and women, and I think this is an entire different show, different topic. You can tell me if you with it, but there has been a discord with the black woman and the black man for a very long time.
Most
And
definitely.
I think that it's because both parties have a lot of trauma and hurt. They want to be heard, they feel misunderstood, and ultimately everybody's out of order. Let's just be honest.
Everybody.
Men men have to realize when they're saying women want to be men, we didn't sign up for that. A lot of
Nope.
times we were put in positions, no matter whether it is how your story began, somewhere in the middle of your story, but a lot of times we were put in position to, and I want y'all to catch this, be masculine when we should have been feminine. We didn't There's a lot of times where women are playing a or are taking on. It's not a play. Let me rewind, fix that word. We're
Okay.
taking on a lot of masculine task in our
Okay.
lives, and we shouldn't have to. But the thing is that if not me, then who? And so now what I think has happened, and I'm glad that you cleared that up when you said this is what men do. So a lot of men now have become complacent because I know she can pick up a brick, I'm gonna sit back and watch her pick it up.
I like
And
that.
they're not willing to say, "Hey, babe, let me get that brick for you. I'm here now." He might not have been here the times where she had to do it, but
Hmm.
if you are here now, step into your rightful place, king. But they're not, because it's like, hey, let me kick up my feet and enjoy this ride. She got it. But then they
Hmm.
want to, what I say, 1 minute you want to wear the pants, the next minute you want to, no disrespect, I'm just using this as an example, wear the skirt. But at the end of the day, you can't beat your chest when it's convenient for you and say, respect me as a man. Understand what that is and what that comes with. Because if you put me in a position where I have to go first every time, or I have to do the masculine things, and you're right here, as women, as mothers, our natural instinct is to take a little and make a lot. So we're going to fix it. We're going to accomplish this goal with or without you.
I
But
love
I
it.
can tell you now, speaking for every woman, it's not our preference. It's not our choice. No woman wakes up and says, I want to be and do whatever what a man does. I want to be masculine. I don't. But I need to feel safe enough to be able to trust that you got me. Just like I'm going to switch gears, the same thing for men. Women, we have to know when to turn it off. We have to know when we have somebody that we can trust. And it took a forever for me. And I'm going to say I'm in that lesson right now. I'm still learning to
Yeah.
lean on my husband and to trust him. And it's the hardest thing for me to do sometimes, is just to say okay, or just to say it one time and know that he heard me, and trust that if he messes it up, oh well. You understand what? If it doesn't kill us, it ain't nobody hurt. It ain't a problem we can't solve. So sometimes we got to know when to fold, and it doesn't mean becoming weak. It means that where your strength, that sometimes had to be quote unquote masculine task, had to be done with your strength. Know when you have somebody that's willing to take that back, because someone gave it to you, but it's okay to give it back. And so I think we just have to find the balance, but we'll never find that balance until we all realize that we are on the same team. There is a lot of competitiveness with Black women and Black men. And it
Correct.
is the saddest thing I've ever seen. So nobody is listening to the other person because everybody feels like the victim. Everybody feels like, you don't understand me. You ain't listening to me. You here to use me. You out to get me. Everybody's having the same conversation, but we all on the same team. And the
Yeah.
sooner we realize that, I think that we will see our dynamics and our family dynamics change drastically. It's okay for your man to provide for your man. It's okay for you to protect your man. I have to often remind my husband this is part of my covering as well. Whether it be, babe, get enough sleep, or babe, are you good? Did you take your whatever it is, I have my own covering. So I
Correct.
think that it's enough, like we say in business and in the industry, it's enough money to go around for everybody. It's enough love to go around for everybody. We just got to get on the same page. And that's just my opinion.
Okay. Let's go here. I wanna go challenge this thought. When you start off your premise talking about many women don't want to be in the predicament they're in, but because of different circumstances, they move a certain way. This is my
Mhm.
question.
Mhm.
In that, when a woman has a man who is, like I said, once again, a man, not a boy, a man who is stable, he's on point, he's involved. Why not, as black women, you articulate your fears, your insecurities, your past traumas,
Mhm.
instead of projecting the defense mechanism onto us, wanting us to rebuild you in areas that we didn't even tear down?
Mhm.
What's wrong with articulating as black women, this is what I need, this is what I expect, or even this is what I want you to do? Why are black women evading that reality and want a lot of men to be mind readers? Because listen, if a man is dating, he doesn't have Queen G that's gonna get on the line in between them and articulate a woman's thought or her thought process.
Mhm.
So help me understand that, or the men watching, why won't women articulate what you just said while dating?
Because we're busy. Let's be honest. We're
Okay.
busy. The average woman, literally, if she wrote down a list of things that she did in a 24-hour day, I
It's
mean,
all the
you
paper.
might right, you might have two to stand next to your wife. I mean, and I mean, it's small things that men don't take into account, but they are
Okay.
still things that are pulling from her. And so when I say we're busy, I mean in the sense of I need you to get this so I can get to the next task and the next task and the next
Mhm.
thing and the next thing. And so, um, unfortunately, that imbalance of a woman having such a heavy load throughout the day, it creates a little bit of anxiety, PTSD, and so it makes us snappy because that's where we want you to be. I'm speaking for myself, guys, but that's where I want you to know what I need. Now I'm getting ready to call this attentiveness. Be attentive. You see everything I got on my plate. Why do I have to sit here and break this down for you? But should it be done? Absolutely. Communicate, use your words. But
Communication.
I'm frustrated and I'm irritated, and it's not with you. I know you said I'm projecting this on you. My intention is not to snap at you or project it on you. I just need you to hurry up and get it, grown man, so I can get over here to these kids and these dishes and this laundry. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's all of these things that we're trying to keep up with that it's like, okay, I really have to sit and break this down to you? And honestly, ladies, the answer to that is yes. We have to use our words. We have to say, babe, I'm frustrated right now. Babe, you know what? The way you just said that was real, mean, whatever it is. I don't like your tone, so I'm not going to
Absolutely.
respond. I'm going to go take five, and then I'm going to get this off of me, and then we'll talk about it. However you communicate, you do need to communicate because
Woo.
with men, they don't understand it's never, honestly, I think for most women, and y'all help me with this, I don't think it's intentional. I just think that we're trying to keep up this list of things to do within a day.
I love this. I love what she said. Because we haven't healed, the first man some of
Yeah.
us were vulnerable with took advantage of us. So the wall is up. Even though we prayed for this man, I love this part. We did not pray for the discernment to recognize him
Yes.
and how to accept and appreciate him.
Mhm.
This is called accountability.
Yeah.
Now, I love it because here we go. She said something key. She said, we need this, men and women, on both
Mhm.
sides. Both of us need discernment to recognize a good thing, how to accept it and appreciate it. Because many of us, we have a good thing that we accept,
Mhm.
but we don't appreciate it.
Right.
It's the same terminology in the business world when dealing with cars. The first principle they tell you about cars, you know it, people. When the car leaves the lot, the price depreciates. The price depreciates. Hear me
Mhm.
carefully. The price
Mhm.
depreciates. Why is that?
Mhm.
Because they're saying now that it has a new user, the value is no longer the same.
Yeah.
Oftentimes in a relationship, men and women become very complacent with a good thing. This is why in the book I
Mhm.
have a chapter called Keep Up Your Maintenance.
Yeah.
You should not get a man looking one way, and then once you get married, you look another way. You should not, and this is the Queen G. This is the hypocritical part of men, because a man will want their woman to look like a model while he's not looking like a Teletubby.
I'm sorry.
So men are arrogant in the fact they want their woman to have their hair done, their nails done, their body put in place, but they're not going to the gym. They're
Absolutely.
not eating healthy. They're not doing anything of that nature. I told one gentleman this before. I said, I never want my wife to look at me and be disgusted.
Yeah.
So you have to keep up with your maintenance, because I love what you said, discernment. When you receive something, you have to accept it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're beautiful, baby. You look wonderful. I
Thank
love
you.
you. Even if
Yes.
you're trying to lose weight together, you don't put down your wife. Let's go
Yeah.
work out together. Let's go walk together. Let's change our diet together. If you're trying
Yeah.
to manage your money differently, let's create a budget. If you're trying to work on your sex life, let's create another level of intimacy, date night,
Mhm.
spontaneity. All of
Yeah.
these things y'all need to work together, and not just put all the leverage on one side while the other side is not doing the opposite. It is
Absolutely.
a group situation that
Yeah.
must be spoken of. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, jump in.
I wanted to go back to when you were saying you were just talking about one of the things about the discernment part.
Go ahead.
And I think I said this before on the last show, but it was so it was a major key and turning point for me.
Okay.
And one of the things is I had to switch up my prayers for asking God to show me how to be a wife, a good wife, and I had to use my husband's name. Show me
Mm,
how to be Corey's wife, because
correct.
that's where the discernment in what Corey needed. Because
Yes.
I could be anybody's good wife, but I needed to know how to be Corey's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so God started showing me how to be his wife and see things that he needed and understand, his communication. Um, understanding a lot of the things that he wasn't saying. So it was a lot of just discernment. My discernment was found, and a lot of my discernment was found in me customizing my prayer to suit my husband, not just
Ooh.
anybody.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Cause listen, you cannot put premium gas in
Hmm.
a regular gas module. It will tear
Hmm.
the engine up. You have to know the person that you're with and how they are
Right.
custom made for you. You have
Yeah.
to. I love it.
Hmm.
So our
Yeah.
communication has to be up. Now
Yeah.
listen, let me see before we go further. All right, let's jump on this last one. I'm gonna let y'all go. Give us like 10 minutes. We're gonna let y'all go. Y'all doing great on tonight. Press that like, press that
Hmm.
share button on tonight. I'm going to do about 10 more minutes and I'm gonna get up out of here. Queen G is doing a great job as usual. Now I want to go here. Now, in dating, communication is very critical. So in chapter 1, I talk about how dating is an interview. So in that, before you choose a mate, you should treat it as a job interview. What is their resume? What is their qualifications? You must be willing to ask questions, big, small, in between, very tight, very minute. You need to be very intrusive while dating, because you are, watch this, who you date and who you decide to marry can change the whole trajectory of your life. All right.
Yeah.
So when you're dating, you should be very intentional in dating. Dating should not be done haphazardly, but dating should be done with a very fine tooth nail. So in chapter number 1, I say dating is an interview, because you have to become an investigator while dating. Because some people, just like interviews, they portray themselves one way in the interview, and
Hmm.
then once they get the job, it is something totally different. All
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
doing communication, let's go here. Doing communication while dating, you must be willing to ask tough questions. When I polled a couple of people, about 20, what were the top hot button topics during dating, most of the time people had friction while dating around these two things: their sexual experiences, or also the person that they're currently talking to having communication with people from the past. All right, you're taking notes. Sexual experiences and continual communication with people from the past.
Uh-huh.
First and foremost, let's go here. While dating, some people have to be a big woman, big girl, big man, big boy, and deal with the reality of this. Y'all don't want to hear it. If you're over 25, 9 times out of 10, the person you are talking to have had sexual experiences. I don't care if they saved, undersaved, religious, they pray, fast, whatever. They have had some
Mhm.
type of sexual
Mhm.
experiences.
Mhm.
You in that time frame have to make up in your mind what is your standard, what you
Mhm.
can and cannot handle. I
Mhm.
want to go here because I'm gonna talk from the men first and foremost, because there are a lot of men who egos are so fragile that want to naively believe that
Whew.
they're the best, they're the greatest that ever walked the earth, but that may not be the reality. And this is my litmus test. As I told one gentleman when he got upset, I said, don't ask questions to what you don't want to know the answer to.
Mhm.
So while dating, let's talk here. Number one, how do we date and and talk about our sexual experiences? Who you been with? How many people you been with? Did you like it? Did not like it? Is it even appropriate to bring these things up? Should you discuss this from a female perspective? Would you get offended if a man asks you how many men you've been with? Let's talk about
Uh,
it.
whew, man. Absolutely not. I think I am, and it's 2022. I don't know why people would not ask that question for several reasons.
Some people are
Um,
1912.
So, for medical reasons, you absolutely should ask those questions.
I love it.
And for spiritual reasons, you need to know how many soul ties exactly are we dealing with.
My
Let's be
God.
honest.
My God.
Because we can't reverse them if we don't know what we're dealing with. Don't give me a miscount. Tell me everything I'm dealing with so I can start getting cleansed myself and you. If I'm gonna give you that, then I want you to give me that. Those are
Okay.
very important questions. Soul ties are very real. They are very real. And so you absolutely need to ask those questions. I'm not uncomfortable with it. And again, like you said, grown men and grown women can have that conversation and absolutely understand the importance in having that conversation. I teach my young adult, young lives to do the same thing. You absolutely need to know. Soul ties are real. You wake up one day and now you're depressed, or you're ready to slit your wrist, or so whatever it is. No pun intended, and I didn't mean to say that lightly, but it could very well be with somebody that you have literally slept with and don't know how many hundreds of people they may have actually tied their souls with. And so spirits jump. We have to be honest. So if you don't ask the question for no other reason, understand that could be the number one reason why a lot of your relationships are not lasting, or you're not getting the results that you want.
Your sound went out. We wait till she get back in. Sorry about that. We're gonna get it back in. All right, we're gonna wait till she get back in. So listen, we're dealing with communication, sexual experience. We'll wait till she get back in. Two hot topic discussion, sexual experience that they get back in. Let's go. All right, we got a couple of comments. I think they will lie anyway. Men bomb the numbers up and women bomb the numbers down. The numbers, so why deal with the lie? Ask, but I don't think the truth will come. It's every hold on, give me a second. I'm going to invite her back in. Y'all give me one quick second. Give me one quick second. Thank y'all for being patient. We're gonna get her back on here. Let me see. Y'all give me one quick second. I'm sorry about that. Or line knocked off. All right, there we go. All right, let's go through this. People shy away from this because human beings are very judgmental people. I love it. Let's go to the next comment.
The devil is a hater. I'm sorry.
I don't even hesitate. He asked, and I tell the number with the quickness. on, he says, on both sides, men and women. All right, so we got a conversation now that men and women may lie about their numbers based upon what's going on. I love this one. He says many people shy away from this because human beings are very judgmental
Mm-hmm.
people. I love this
Mm-hmm.
point because I put that in the book. I love the point. I'm gonna put it on the screen because while dating, when you have these conversations, you have to be willing to have difficult conversation. All
Mm-hmm.
right. You have to have these difficult conversations because here we go. If you're going to marry someone, this is an investment. You have to know what you're getting yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
These are difficult conversations that you should have. Queen G, this is one of my pet peeves. It's nothing worse than a person to be married to someone or with someone and other people outside of them know more about them than they do because,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, they're putting forth a character.
Yeah.
They're acting, they're portraying.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
they got the man or the woman thinking one thing when in
Mm-hmm.
actuality there's something else. If you were tricking off, I need to know you are have been tricking off. It is simple as that. If I'm gonna marry you and you're a trick, I need to know that I'm adding some treats to the equation.
Yeah.
I don't need to be blindsided because you did not tell me the truth. We, we need to be honest about these realities. Here we go. This
Absolutely.
is what I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah. Yeah.
transition
Yeah.
to. Past the soul ties, past the
Mm-hmm.
numbers. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
If you had sexual experience that made you more experienced,
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens when we get married and I don't have experience and I'm not able to fulfill your palate because now you had an entree, a dinner, and a dessert,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just still dealing with finger foods. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
there. How your past experience affect your present marriage.
It does. It absolutely does. And again, it's a conversation that you need to have while dating
Yeah.
because you may actually marry someone that has no desire to explore even things that neither of you know. They may not have a desire to even learn new things. They may not have a desire to be as active as you. And so again, it's one thing when you're trying to get them, but it's another when you're actually in it for life and this conversation wasn't had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the conversation is a major key. And people get marriage counseling, but I think that that's another area in their life that they actually need to really embark on as
Correct.
far as you know the two being able to say, hey, you know what, not really my thing, but because I love you, I'm willing to learn something or I'm willing to try this. If you're dealing with someone that has no desire, again, here's that word, epic fail, because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be miserable. And then now we're dealing with the spirit of infidelity. We're dealing with a lot of things that could be avoided if we just had the conversation. And sometimes a lot of insecurities come from, in my opinion, the fact that we're not having these conversations because they're uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
now you're thinking that your spouse is not, like you said, they're not. They don't feel like, or I'll say they're not complimenting you, or they're not turned on by you, whatever it is. I think a lot of times it could be other things that's going on that you guys are not talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Without having that conversation, it leaves room for a lot of assumptions. And I could very well, be having some issues. I could have had some traumas that I never talked to you about as a child. You have people that have been molested, men and women. These
Correct.
are uncomfortable conversations, but have them. Have them because you're in it for life. You have a lifetime to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So find the space to have them. I think a lot of misunderstandings come from not having full blatant conversations. Just, I mean, no bars. No, what was I was going to say? No holds bar. I mean, no. I mean, leaving no corners unturned. You're married or you're thinking about being married. So either side of the fence, these are conversations that are necessary. They cause a lot of unnecessary headaches. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
from the uncomfortable. And again, maturity.
Yeah.
Maturity will
That's a big
make
part.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody has a little girl and a little boy inside of them. We all do right now. But
Correct.
they are not welcome to that part of the conversation. It's a grown folks conversation. And if you bring the adult to the conversation, then adult conversations will be had. So,
Correct.
yeah, yeah.
That's it's interesting. My junior year, undergrad, my major is BS in psychology and Christian counseling. And interesting, we took a course called Healthy Sexuality. Healthy Sexuality. And it was interesting. One of the first two chapters of the book, it encouraged masturbation because it talked about how can you want someone else to please you when you don't even know your own body.
Right, right,
Then
right.
it flipped from the female to the male side and said men should avoid locker room talk. And it suggested in this chapter that many men perception of sex is pornographic and not reality.
Mhm, mhm,
They don't
mhm.
understand the intimacy or the art of sex.
Right.
Therefore, they go into sex with a locker room mentality of how am I
Mhm,
going to beat it up? How many
mhm.
women I'm going to have sex with? I had her screaming when the whole time she may be screaming for you to stop, not to keep going, because
That
you
part.
have not taken out the time to
Mhm.
understand that now in marriage, now in a covenant relationship, sex goes down another lane of maturity that
Yeah.
is not in the realm of just orgasms.
Oh,
So now
talk
we have to
about it.
have mature conversations about
Yeah.
how can you stimulate me before you even touch me? How
Before I see you.
how
Be
how
Yeah.
before I see you, are you able to watch this to move my biggest sex mechanism, which is not my vagina or my penis, but it's my
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
My brain leads to now the dopamines released through conversation, through visual to the lower region of my body because we had conversations before we interacted with each other.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now here we go. Sex in marriage is spaghetti. I'm gonna say this
Up,
again.
up.
Sex in marriage is spaghetti. It's the same thing, but it tastes different the next day or tastes better if you
Yeah,
heat it
yeah,
up
yeah.
correctly.
Mhm,
Right?
mhm,
You have to
mhm,
have
mhm.
creativity in a
Yes,
sexual content in marriage, and you have to have these conversations. So
absolutely.
I want you to jump on the women to the men. So men have to have conversations. You may have performance anxiety. You may need
Yeah.
to change your diet now because you're
Mhm,
ingesting too much sugar. So now your
mhm,
erection is not as firm.
mhm,
You may need to get sleep
mhm.
so that you can. You may to work need to work on your communication. Not how hard and fast am I going to hit it, but am I willing to listen to my wife's body or my girl's body and how
Yeah.
she responds to certain things?
Yes,
Because even
yes,
in sex, sex has a language. That's the
yes.
men's side. Let's talk about the women's side.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Absolutely. Uh, what they call it, foreplay me. Listen, foreplay me while
Correct.
you all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Foreplay,
Just,
not one play.
just not one play, foreplay. And
Foreplay. Yeah.
intimacy for the grown folks, it is not attached to your body parts.
Correct.
Now, it should make your body parts move,
Yeah.
but it's not connected to the touch of them.
Correct.
Intimacy for me, I used to love when Corey and I were dating. We would sit on the back of his truck. He had a truck where he had a Pathfinder, and we would lay the back of the truck down, and we would just sit out there for hours and talk. And it just did something to just chills out on my body. You
Correct.
understand what I'm saying? Intimacy for grown folks. Listen, my mama used to say, if you done been there once, you done been there a million times. So that's not the thing that most women, I think, especially, date me all day. That to me is what my foreplay. Date me all day. Say something, that I don't even care if you say something about my hair, my perfume. Baby, you smell good. Just
Correct.
anything. Because the last thing a woman wants to feel like is a blow up doll. You understand what I'm saying? You
Mm,
don't wanna feel like that.
that's
I wanna
powerful.
feel like you desired me, And by the time we hit the bed, and I learned this in from one of my pastors and in marriage counseling. By the time we hit the bed, we ready, because it's been an all day thing. And I think men do, and women sometimes, again, we let this busy day to day, this list, this task, these jobs, all of these things get in the way of making time for intimacy. I see a lot of people say, let's make this normal, let's normalize this. I would love to normalize intimacy, the true definition of it. If it's a
Yeah.
walk in the park, if we're going to the waterfall, if we're taking a drive. My husband loved to just drive, just ride out, especially being in the country. He loved to just ride out and listen to his music and just zone out. You know what? Sometimes he like, babe, you want to ride with me? That's a form of intimacy. That's
Correct.
what his thing is. And
Correct.
so when we understand that intimacy is a lot of give and take, but it's also being attentive to the other person's need. And I love that you said sex has a language. It
Yeah.
absolutely does.
Yeah.
And and the way you speak it and the way I speak it may be different, but if you are my spouse, learn my language.
Hmm.
That's what I got to say.
I love that. You have, like you said, you have to look what you said though. Just go back to what you said. Learn my language, not
Hmm.
your past language.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Learn my language, not your past language.
Hmm.
Because I
Hmm.
learned this even as a man. We have to be honest. If women, I'm using this figuratively, not to be degrading, but if a woman is a masterpiece, or if a woman is a piece of furniture that comes with instructions,
Hmm.
every woman has different instructions with
Yeah.
them that in order to able you to assemble them correctly.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I cannot be with a woman here today and then try to treat her in the intimate language that I treated my
Yeah.
girlfriend 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So even as
Absolutely.
men, we have to humble ourselves and say, you have to ask questions. Am I doing this correctly? Are you being fulfilled?
Right. Yeah.
Just because it's long doesn't mean that it's right.
Right.
Just because it's short doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Right.
Just because you have equipment doesn't mean you know what to do with the equipment.
Mhm.
All of these things, you have to be honest with yourself. And even in a spiritual language, I would say this, just to do with the spiritual side of it. I think this is what church fails people, because we rush people to the altar. It's better
Mhm.
to marry to burn with lust. It's better to marry to burn with lust. But then we don't even give them the language or the tools
Tools.
to how to
Mhm.
have sex in the marriage that would
Mhm.
keep the marriage even going together.
That's good.
So now you're married and you're miserable, but when you were single, you was happy with your sex life,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you refuse to sit down and have, here we go, these intimate conversations
Mhm.
about reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because your wife says she's not fulfilled, it does not mean that she doesn't want you. It means
Right.
that you need to change your game plan,
Yep.
because the
Yep.
game plan you are enacting is not working.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So big men, real men, have to put your ego and pride aside and say, what am I willing to do to adjust my game plan in order that my wife be fulfilled? It does
Mhm.
not mean that she doesn't want me. It means that I have not learned how her body responds to the language that she needs. We
Absolutely.
have to mature ourselves and have these mature conversations. The last thing we want to do is, like you said, get married. 10 days later, here we go. You're divorced because you refuse to have honest conversation.
And you know something else I just thought about, and I want to
Huh?
jump back to those women that's, I'm not cooking for you. I'm not your maid. I'm not your this. That could be the very thing that is
Intimacy.
his sex language.
Correct.
Let me tell you, he gonna
And
probably
fried
get me for
chicken
this.
is sex language.
Listen, I was just getting ready to say, it is the most adorable thing to see how my husband, you know how kids have their little dance when they getting some candy or they
Mhm.
get happy? That's what my husband does when I'm cooking. He is so excited. He has a whole burst of energy, bubbly personality. So
Correct.
one thing that I learned early on is this man loves to eat. He loves to eat, and that's one of the ways that I can actually show intimacy. And I'm giving this to women. during the day. Feed this man. I serve him. It's all part of my me being intimate with my husband. There's something that's just for me. It's just really dope to be able to hand him his plate with his napkin and his fork and his drink. It's
Yeah.
just something again, and it's not a big thing gesture, but it's something that if that's his language and we're paying attention, yes, you do cook. And
Yes.
yes, you do clean. And if it might be folding the laundry. And then all of a sudden, there you go. You have a wonderful night because you folded his laundry. So
Mhm.
some of these women, I think, don't stick your foot in your mouth because you never know. Again, because of these conversations, hopefully after tonight they will be had. But that may be a lot of the reasons too. Some of those women that say I don't, let's stop saying what you don't do because you might need to.
Mhm. And the reality is, if you don't cook a plate, there's a woman with the plate ready for him. You,
Absolutely.
it is. You're right. You're right. Even myself as a man, outside of my mother, I think Jamie one of the greatest cooks ever. I love when she
Yeah.
cooks. And the reality of it is, and you're right. Even in counseling, that's what happens. Many men will articulate, and sometimes women's mind they're looking like, I do this, I do that, I do this, but he's like, she doesn't even cook
It
for
ain't what I
me.
need. Right.
That's not
Yeah.
what I. That's you are. Here we go. You're projecting your intimacy wants on me. That's not what I want. That's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want a simple plate. But you're
Uh-huh.
trying to tell me that's insignificant. So now we don't want to talk about it. But sometimes men could shut down because when they do articulate to their woman what they need, she
Mhm.
dismisses it as this is
Mhm.
insignificant.
Mhm.
And you don't even know your piece of chicken, cornbread, and collard greens is a gateway to his heart. It's a gateway to his heart. And you're missing that because you're overcomplicating a
Mhm.
simple will. The book of
Yeah.
the Bible, the book of Genesis, the book of Genesis starts off with a man and a woman. And what was their problem? Their discussion is simple, but we don't talk about it in church. Adam and Eve, simple discussion was not a serpent in the garden. Their discussion was over what should we eat?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
our appetite centered around?
Mhm.
What do we want to
Mhm.
partake of that's going to dictate our destiny here and going further? I love
Mhm.
it. I love it. Listen,
Yeah.
can we do one more? Can we do one more? And I'm gonna let you go.
I'm cool. I'm
Okay.
cool. I'm in my closet today. I'm cool.
I got, I got, I got one more. Here we go. The last part we didn't deal with, then we're gonna get up out of here. We deal with sexual experiences. Last part. What is your advice for people who are currently married or seeking marriage, but they're still communicating with people from their past? How do
Um
you manage this? Because some people are cool with it, some people are not. What type of wisdom will you use, or even in dating, should you divulge information about your past prematurely? What is the wisdom we should use in this type of situation?
Um, I don't think that you should. It's premature about your past. One of the things that I had to learn to really key in on, and I'm big on, even in my dating world, is for a man to talk more about what his past relationship was and everything that she did wrong and he had nothing that he did wrong, that was a major red flag for me.
Oh
So,
wow.
talking about your past was actually it was a big deal for me. A lot of times there's this cliche that, oh no, don't talk too much about your past because you're telling them exactly how to treat you. You're giving them the game and all of that. But I'm listening for a different reason. I'm listening to see if you're a narcissist. Are you somebody that's accountable? Are you
Mhm,
somebody because if you're just flawless, then I know you're not for me because I'm not.
mhm.
So I
Right.
would listen for that. So speaking about the past, I think is a major key for me. And then not only that, I think for those that can't handle it, it's a self check thing. Again, we have to bring the grown woman and the grown man to that situation and not the little boy and the little girl. But then I have an obligation for my husband is not really big on still being cordial with people in past relationships. So I
Mhm, mhm.
respect that. I respect that, but I am.
Right.
And so what I had to do, he expressed that he wasn't big on it, but what I had to do is those relationships, those people, I had to introduce him. I had to introduce him because now, even if we're just friends, now you're Corey's friend. You're
Right.
Corey's friend and you're Gwen's friend. So there's levels to this. You have to keep it respectful. I have male friends that are single, but at the end of the day, my husband knows if I hang out, if I talk to him, I have nothing to hide, and they know. First of all, I can't even keep you on as a friend, or even someone in my past if you don't know how to respect my now. If you
Mm-hmm.
and that's on me. That's not for my husband to establish, that's for me to establish.
I
So
love that.
if you can't establish those lines of respect, you shouldn't do it, and only you know your limitations. So again, I'm telling you about myself because I like to use myself as an example, but that's just how we are. But it takes a level of maturity to understand that that's what was. You're not him because you didn't make the cut. We didn't make it. I ain't gonna say it was all you, but we didn't make it. But I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable in my now. And so my job was to make sure that my husband was comfortable. He's also allowed to now, I hear him. So if I heard him say it's not his thing, so I'm not overbearing with it. I do it in its levels to it. I do it in small portions because again, I don't want to ever make him uncomfortable. It's not his thing,
Mhm.
but we had that conversation so he knows, everything about me and how I'm moving. And so it's just again what works for Gwen and Corey.
I love it.
Hmm.
That's some great advice. Listen, if you enjoyed this, press that like, press that share button on tonight. And as every night before we close out, we have a counseling moment. If you
Yeah.
have any questions, any concerns, anything that you want to ask pertaining to your dating life or your friend's dating life, drop it right now. If not, you can inbox us and we'll talk to you offline if you don't want to put your business out there today. But if you enjoyed this broadcast, put in the comment section, I loved it. I enjoyed it. This was wonderful. Please press that like. Please press that share button. Thank you, Miss Lovely and Confident. She said she loved this segment. Great, great. I appreciate y'all jumping
Good.
on. I know it's last minute, but we got it done. I woke up this morning. I was praying. I was praying this morning. I was up early this morning reading my book for class. I forgot what the name of the book, but it's about slavery or something. I forgot. I'm tired. But I was up reading this morning, and your name came right into my head. That's why I
Oh
inboxed
wow.
you immediately. I inboxed you immediately, and I was nervous at first until I was leaving the cafeteria, and then you said what time and I'll be on, and I said, "Good.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
love it.
tripping." So
I
I
think
try
this
to
is necessary. It's
very necessary.
necessary, especially for our culture in whatever way that we have to dive. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
but that whatever way that we have to begin to mend that what the broken relationship between the black man and the black woman, man, I'm here for it. Because we
Correct.
really it's really as bad as this pandemic, but it's really it's a pandemic between the two. And man, what a powerful force we will be once we all get on the same page. So thank you, and anytime I'm here for it.
Great, great,
Thank you.
yes. And as God put that on my heart when I wrote this book, that was the whole point of this book. I want to see
Yeah.
people have healthy and whole
Relationships.
relationships, and
Yeah.
also too, even if you're single, I want you to have peace in your life, knowing that whatever state that you're in, you can have peace that surpasses all understanding. I want to see
Yeah.
healthy marriages. I want to see healthy kids. I want to see you healthy
Yeah.
holistically, emotionally, physically, spiritually. God has challenged me within the last 3 to 4 years. He said, begin to engage in a holistic ministry.
Wow.
I believe firmly one of the things that
Wow.
the church is lacking is holistic living. So
Yeah.
we tell people about money, but we don't tell them how to manage money. We don't tell them how to make
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
We don't tell
Yeah.
them how to invest money. We tell people about marriage, but we don't give them the tools to being married. We tell them that they need help, but we don't counsel them. We don't do the things that we should do. And Jesus put it this way, and I close here. Jesus, sometimes we heal people, he says, go forth and be ye made whole.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because you can be healed, but not be made whole. Two
Hmm.
different things. You can be healed, but you can be healed and not whole. And we want to make sure through all of these teaching that people become whole. So whatever
Yeah.
you're dealing with in your life, you're married, single, divorced, seeking marriage, or even currently married right now, or you're dealing with different traumas in your life, understand that God can heal any and every aspect of your life. And healing starts, watch this, through conversation. So during the night,
Mhm.
there's somebody being healed, there's somebody being set free, because oftentimes healing does not come through medicine, but sometimes
Right.
healing comes through simple conversations. And we
Mhm.
want you to be made whole. Amen. Oh, that I made me feel so special.
Oh, I
I
know that's
appreciate
right.
it.
Oh,
Yeah, go and shout out
amen.
redemption. I appreciate it. Hey
Amen.
man, we want to make sure. Yeah, we want to make sure that you made whole. And here we go. We got is that a question? Would they, man or woman, be patient or say screw it because they not? Give me. I don't understand your question. Can you type more of that? Um, type more of that. But yes, I
Because they're
love
not
that.
meeting.
You're not meeting. Yes, that's the whole point of the word redemption, to be restored back to its original place. We want to make sure that you're restored to your original place. And I want to challenge everyone online tonight. If you're dealing with any relationship issues, make sure that you have a conversation about it. If you're single, use wisdom, use discernment. If you're married, build upon what's already built. And if you are coming out of divorce, get healed before you walk into another situation. Want to make sure that everyone is healed and hold on tonight. Do me a favor, press that like, press that share button. Also, for those who want a copy of this book, you don't have a copy, if you read it, you can buy some and send it to someone. Inbox me on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can find me at, and I can get you a couple of copies of that book. It's doing great, and want to make sure that we do what God has called us to do. Hey man, if you don't drop that question again before we go, and we want to address it. If not, I'm gonna let y'all go on
I
to.
think he's trying to say, would they be patient or say screw it? So basically, not meeting in person and just having a different, like a phone relationship or a virtual relationship, and not meeting in person. I'm trying to piece it together, baby.
Yeah, correct. All right, here we go. We got a question. This is a whole topic for a whole nother day, but we can touch on it.
Oh, this is
Oh,
good.
hold on. Let's before you go to that, let's drop that. He's put sexual. He said, would they, man or woman, be patient or say screw it because they not meeting sexually? He said sexual. Should they be? I guess he's saying, should they be patient? Should they? I think that's what he's saying. He put sexual at the end.
Needs, because they're not meeting the needs.
Yeah, I think so. Would they, men
Baby,
or women, be patient?
you
Say, sure. Go ahead.
you got to put all your words together.
All right, let's go back. We'll come back to that. All right, go to this question, and we'll go back to that.
I want to answer it.
Go here, and we'll go back to that if he puts the whole sentence together.
He asked you that. Hey, happy birthday, Will.
He didn't put my name on it. What you mean he asked me that?
um, I, let me go first, so the pastor can answer this one.
I ain't
I
getting involved in
believe
that.
what?
I just
I
playing.
don't. I do not think that there is anything that is agreed upon in the bedroom married people can do wrong. Agreed upon, married, in the bedroom, no wrong. That's just my opinion. Now, you tell me what you think. Because I don't. I don't. I mean, what are we married for? So if we agree upon it, again, the agree is keyword. We agree. No, I don't. But I want you to answer this now. What you
And
thinking?
well, we're in a different generation. Like I said, I
He
ain't gonna
said,
touch upon that
"Hallelujah."
because agreed upon can mean many things. So I'm not gonna even go there with it. But
Ooh.
it's a whole nother subject for another day. However, we're dealing with the basics of knowledge. I would say I agree. If you and your wife have a conversation about what y'all want to do together within the realm of marriage, it should not
Yes.
be any boundaries in that. That's why I put in the book, your home should be a amusement park and not a funeral home. It has to be a place of excitement. You have to
Yeah.
create excitement. If you don't have imagination, your marriage is not going to work because you have to create a new experience each time when riding the same car. All right.
Yeah.
All right, you gonna
I
drop that
love it.
comment, brother? Or we gonna let you go. We gonna let you go because we trying to put the sentences together. We're trying to put the sentences
He said
together.
we try to put the sentences
Love
together.
and confidence said church finger. Look, we're in 2022. I have to ask questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Listen, y'all have a wonderful night. You have a great night. Thank you, Miss Queen G, for gracing us with your
You're
presence on tonight.
welcome.
And
Thank you for having me.
me interrupting your schedule that you jumped on for me. I
You're
greatly
cool.
appreciate it. We did great again on tonight. Press that like, press that share button. Y'all may be seeing her some more. We're gonna jump on here. I want to give a balanced perspective of not just myself, but men and women, because we are wired differently. This
We
is
are.
Kasin K. Hamilton, Pastor K, or just K to some people. Signing off with Miss Queen G. We say thank you. Have a
Thank y'all.
wonderful night. Have
Thank
a
y'all.
blessed week.
Good night.
Press that like, press that share button. We may see you next week. I'll let you know for another broadcast. Marriage is not for everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, y'all.